This is the Alchemy of Family. Before becoming a PhD student, I was both a family archivist and a documentarian working with my own family photographs. I came from New York to do research with the Apna Heritage Archive. And so this archive was started by Anand Chhabra, a descendant of factory worker parents who migrated to the Midlands from Punjab. The archive contains 2,000 photographs of Punjabi families from the 1960s through the 1980s. One of his motivations for creating the archive was when Anand went to the local archive, to his surprise, they were not there. These photographs were not there. Though many of these families made contributions, they were invisible in local history. So Anand took it upon himself to change that. He went door to door collecting photographs from his community, telling the stories of these families, many who built post-war Britain. Something that I've done as a researcher is to find out what is beyond the photograph. We can see the photograph and learn part of the story, but when sitting down, we learn more through oral storytelling. This is a practice I do with my family also. Having just come from fieldwork, I interviewed the Das family. And so this photograph is of Mr. Das and his daughter Kanta. He came to the UK in the 1950s alone and then later brought his wife. In this photograph, Mr. Das and his daughter Kanta, they're on an outing on one of his few days off. When I went to gather the oral history of these photographs, Kanta and her brother Salgram told me the story of their father's hard work at Brockhouse. It's a foundry in Wolverhampton. Here we have an archival image of the Brockhouse factory. At Brockhouse, the workers would melt, solidify, then cast different metals. Their father worked with heavy industrial metal, creating parts that helped build the infrastructure of Britain. Many Brockhouse parts were used in cars and railways, allowing us today to get from point A to point B. The conditions for the workers were hot, and it was considered one of the toughest foundries to work in. I asked the family if they had any images of their father in the factory. They said there were no family photos, but there was one story that Kanta, now older, told me that I cannot forget. Kanta recalled the day of her father coming home, holes in his shirt from metal sparks flying onto his body. During that time, they had less protection. He would take off his shirt and the children would gather around. They would pick metal shards from their father's skin. In the home, I got to hear this story and see other objects that the father made. One of these objects was this metal dumbbell made in the factory and brought home by Mr. Das for his family. To me, this weight is an ancestral object that was created for his descendants, one that also represents not only his labor in the factory, but the strength that has been passed down to his children.